I had a FedEx delivery this morning, and honestly, I thought I'd travelled back to 2019 because they dropped off a couple of San Martin watches in the old school Pelican cases. I reached out to San Martin to ask, why are you using the old packaging for your watches now? And they explained to me that they've been on AliExpress now for 4 years and they want to celebrate by producing some more affordable versions of everybody's favourite watches. So they've sent me a couple to review for you guys. I'm going to explain to you why these watches are perhaps cheaper than you would expect. I'm also going to find out if they're any good. Now, this first watch I'm going to show you is a 62 mass Homage, and it does currently appear on the official store. The reason I say that is because, well, the second watch that they have sent me, I can't find the details of this watch onto the official store yet. So, yeah, that's why I'm going to do this one first. I have in the past reviewed their 62 mass Homage watches. This does look like a new watch because they have changed some specifications to keep the prices down. Now, the prices are a little bit of a grey area at the moment because they're launching these watches right before the 11th of the 11th sale, so there's no price history that I can look at to determine what they're during the sale. All I know is think has changed in order to make these watches more affordable. I just can't at this moment in time tell you how much more affordable they are. So the first thing you are going to notice is, of course, the cheaper packaging, which isn't a bad thing, let's be honest. I don't think most of us really care what our San Martin watches come in. And yeah, if this is going to help keep the costs down, then, well, quite honestly, I'm happy with this Pelican case. Yeah, they stack quite nicely as well. You do get tools to adjust the bracelets still, but you will notice a different tool in here, and that is because the bracelets are going to come with push pins and not screw pins. You get the usual paperwork. And the hang tag as well looks so, yeah, I don't think that's too much of a sacrifice. Now, I've noticed the hands on this watch are fully polished. I think they would have normally provided hands with a mixture of brushed and polished finishing, but again, that is going to increase the manufacturing costs, and also the seconds hand isn't capped, look, which again is going to just reduce the manufacturing costs a little bit. I will test the loom on both of these watches at the end of this video to see yeah, how well it lasts. I suspect they haven't compromised on loom because they know how important that is, and I don't think they've compromised on the overall finishing, the steel finishing. I don't think they've opted for cheaper brushing or cheaper polishing. What they may have done is just opted for more simplified finishing, so not as many polished accents and chamfered edges and things like that. The clasp is definitely different. They're not putting the on-the-fly adjustment clasp. Again, it's not a cheap clasp. They haven't really cut costs heavily and provided a horrible pressed clasp for micro adjustments. Look, you're still getting polished chamfered edges on that clasp. Tolerances all seem pretty good. The end links don't look to be compromised in any way. The brushing and the polishing definitely doesn't seem to be compromised. The polishing down the side of the case looks nice enough. Still getting a ceramic bezel insert. Yeah, I'm not really seeing too much to indicate that they have cut a lot of corners. This watch comes with an NH35. They're not giving you the option to change the movements, so again, that is going to help keep manufacturing costs down. I also know that they're producing these watches in much higher numbers. I think they're banking on these watches being popular because obviously they are going to be cheaper than most of their other sort of all stainless steel dive watches. So yeah, increasing the volume in terms of production is going to keep the unit costs down, and also minimizing the number of options like movements and colors and things like that is also going to keep the manufacturing costs down. So yeah, no movement options, only the NH35, and they're also offering this watch with a rubber strap, I believe, so you can pay a little bit more and have it with this stainless steel bracelet, or if you really want to save a few quid, you can have it on a rubber strap. And there's not a huge amount of color options either. Again, that is a good way of keeping costs down. What about the bezel action? Yeah, feels nice, feels really nice, super crisp clicks, perfect resistance. They are, I mean, it's loud, can you hear that? They're definitely not cutting corners when it comes to engineering the bezel action. 120 click unidirectional bezel. Have a listen. Yeah, definitely a very nice bezel action. What about alignment? Yeah, looks pretty good. No back play. Yeah, I'm happy with that, definitely. Right, let's take a closer look at the crystal because that is always a good way of saving a few quid when it comes to making watches. It looks like they are still using a piece of double domed crystal and there is still a decent amount of blue AR coating on there. Have they reverted to mineral crystal? No. Again, I think they understand how important sapphire crystal is on watches like this. So, yeah, they're not making a super cheap, affordable watch. They're still giving us decent specifications by the looks of it. They are just trying to find a few ways here and there to knock a few quid off, I think. And yeah, I think that's a really, really good idea, to be honest, because quite often we see these watches $250 odd, and it does price quite a few people out. So if you can pick up these watches for somewhere between $160 and $190, for example, which I think is where these watches are going to sit, I don't think that's bad at all. Now, I'm curious to see if they've gone from metal movement holders to plastic, because that is another potential money saver, isn't it? Let's have a look. No, still using metal movement holders by the looks of it. So with this watch then, at least, it doesn't look like they've sacrificed too much, but then they're not discounting these watches massively. It's not like they're selling these watches for under $100. You know, they're still going to be on the sort of upper end of the scale when it comes to AliExpress watches. But they, I think it's good, I should say, that they are giving people the option to buy slightly cheaper, slightly less well spec'd watches. But really, they haven't changed too much, have they? I think the main things are just the clasp and the screw pins. I mean, packaging, really, who cares? The fact that they're being made in bigger numbers doesn't affect us at all. Fewer options when it comes to the movement. Well, everybody loves the NH35, and few color options. Yeah, I'm not really seeing too much that's been sacrificed. Right, let's have a look at the other one. Right, here's the second watch then. This is the one that isn't currently appearing on AliExpress, so I can't even look at the sale prices. I can't tell you which color options are available or which movements are going to be available. But again, I suspect they're limiting this watch to the NH35 potentially. I will take the case back off in a minute and have a look. And I suspect they're limiting the color options as well to keep costs down. They're also, again, going to make a lot more of these watches to keep their individual unit costs down. I believe it's push pins again for the bracelet. It is. And again, you're not going to get their more recent clasp with the on-the-fly adjustment system. But like the other one, there doesn't seem to be too much of a compromise when it comes to all the other stuff. I'll test the crystal. Let's have a little fiddle with the bezel. Again, that's really nice. Really, really nice. It seems to be just as good as the bezel actions that have been on all of their more recent watches. Alignment is good as well. I will again test the loom at the end of this video to make sure that hasn't been compromised. I've also noticed that the branding doesn't seem to be any different. They're still branding the crown, the clasp, applied logo on the dial. Look, applied indices. Yep, there we go. Oh, this one is a plastic movement holder, looks so looks to be plastic. Yeah, there's definitely a plastic movement holder in there, but there also looks to be a metal ring around it. Right, let's test the crystals. And I say crystals because we have this main piece of crystal here, but we also have a cyclops, and that is also sapphire. Look, and there's AR coating on both the main piece of crystal and the cyclops by the looks of it. It is a flat piece of sapphire crystal, but then that is what you would expect to see on this watch. So again, no compromise there, I don't think. Just filmed the 5-minute loom degradation clip, and I gotta say, I really don't think they've compromised on the loom either. You're seeing that clip now, of course. While that clip was being filmed, I was having a really good think about these watches and trying to think of any ways perhaps they could have made these watches even cheaper, because I think what they've done is fantastic, but could they have done any more to get the costs down just that little bit extra? And after I thought about it for a few minutes, I thought, well, I don't really know what else they could have done. You put mineral crystal in it, people are going to be furious. You reduce the strength of the loom, people are not going to be happy. You can't possibly use a pressed clasp. San Martin watches are known for their finishing, so if you cut corners with the finishing, it's not really a San Martin. I don't think you can get a much cheaper movement than the NH35, and if you put the 8215 in it, people aren't going to be happy. And actually, the 8215 is more expensive, so why would they put the 8215 in it? I don't know. There's just not really, I don't think, anything else they could have done that people would accept to make these watches even cheaper. Let me know in the comments section. I'm curious to know what you think they could have potentially done to make these watches even cheaper, guys.